Welcome back to the Lost Artistry Lash channel for another lash with me. Today I have the pleasure of doing lashes on an Olympian athlete, Pam. She is an Olympian in rugby. Unbelievable. And today we're doing an anime-inspired lash set on her. To be honest, guys, when you see the results, if you think it's not anime, let me know. I find anything that takes the same mapping technique-wise as anime, I'm gonna call it anime. I don't know what else to call it, but I'm so open to suggestions. So please name this lash set. Okay, let's look into the mapping. So for Pam's map today, we're breaking the set into 3 different parts. You'll notice that for the top layer mapping, I'm doing a traditional cat eye lash mapping, which is a little bit risky because her eyes are more almond, but I really wanted to see how this would look. Directionally too, look at the lines that I've drawn. I'm directing everything out, like toward the ear. So I am really playing it, not very safe today. Our longest length is gonna be 14 millimeter, and we are jumping all the way down to 7 millimeter for my shortest length. So let's just stop here on this map for just a moment to talk a little bit more about it. So my top layer being the longest lengths, those are gonna be 100% spikes. So I'm working with 0.07 diameter, 3 to 6 D fans to create this anime inspired look. And you'll see for my top layer where I have each number, that's where my spikes are gonna be. So there's gonna be maybe like 6, 7, 8 spikes across the whole eye. And when we look down at layer 2, this is where I'm really building the spikes. So for layer 1, I'm just finding the shape that I want and I'm building the bones. Then when I go down where it says build spikes on my map, notice how I've drawn lashes that are kind of tilting into that one major spike. That's really important because those lashes are what's gonna build a bigger looking spike. And I put in quotations, my spike is actually gonna consist of about 6 different lashes that all direct into my longest length to create one big looking lash spike. Very intricate work, and very directionally heavy, but so worth it. So my lengths are just gonna be 1 millimeter shorter on that middle layer, or it can be the top as well. It doesn't matter which layer it's on, but it's gonna be 1 millimeter shorter, and I'm gonna direct them into my longer length. Now let's look on the bottom layer. So that's my bottom lengths. It's just gonna be 8 and 9 millimeters. So there's a huge jump between the spike lengths and the base lengths. And that is what's gonna give us that exceptional texture that we're looking for. As I said before, Pam's eyes are quite almond, so usually it's a risky map to use. Usually when I'm working on almond eyes, I like to use more of a swirl mapping, but I really wanted to test the limits today and see just how it ends up looking. So again, would love your opinion. Should we switch to a swirl map next time? I'm gonna go with yes. I would keep the lengths the same, but I would probably do longer in my swirl section, but I really would love your opinion. Okay guys, so I've been starting my services with Superbonder, which I know that sounds so crazy because that's how you finish your sets, but it has been working great as a primer. It offers like almost like a sticky magneticness, which is crazy. It's helping my glue cure really, really well. And I've just been liking it. Retention wise, it's been amazing. So I'm not really sure of the science behind it just yet. So this is my first time really promoting it, but I have been enjoying it. But not for oily clients. If my client was really oily, I would still prime. Glue wise, using Quickie adhesive, and here we go. Let's build this set. So notice that I'm placing my spikes right now where the length is shown on the map. That's keeping my spikes in line. So I'm legitimately lining them up with the lengths that I've drawn on my map. And take note here on what my fans look like. They're very much wet lash fans, but they're not classic lashes, which is really, really important. They are in fact wet lash fans, but they're quite closed. So that's gonna be really important for the spikes of this look. You need to have consistency in how they look, and make sure you're working eye to eye as well for this look, because it's really easy to throw the balance off if you're not focusing on the same part of the eye on either side. Okay, notice that I took Pam's iPad off here. It just wasn't sticking well. So instead of redrawing my map, I literally just took the iPad off, and put the old iPad back on top. Sometimes the iPads just don't sit well. Pam's eyes are quite long, so the iPad just didn't quite fit her eye shape super well with how I placed it. So that's why I took it off and replaced it. Okay, so now I'm filling in the base shape with my shorter length lashes. So these are just gonna create density along the base and bring darkness into my set. Notice again, still working with those wet lash spikes. My entire set is done with these. And when it comes to assessing the natural lash that I've isolated, I'm looking at the lash that I've isolated. I'm looking to see how strong or weak it is and adjusting my dimension based on the natural lash health. So if I isolate a lash that looks really weak, then I'll put, say, a 2 or 3D fan on there. If I isolate a lash that looks really strong, then I'll put upwards of a 6D fan on there. I am working with 0.07, so I would never suggest going higher than a 6D fan, but if you wanted this result and your client had a bunch of weak natural lashes across the lash line, you could totally use just 0.03 or 0.05 to give this type of a look, but with less weight. All right, finishing off the set with Superbonder, of course, air drying it with the Gluberator. Gotta make sure that her eyes aren't feeling burny when she opens up. Check it out. Okay, what do you think? Remember, back at the beginning of the video, I asked you to let me know what you thought about the shaping. Do you think it suits her? Please do comment below.